My first instrument was the guitar. And really, simultaneous to that, trumpet. The only reason being that in elementary school, there was no guitar in the orchestra, and I wanted to play something. Similarly, my twin brother Alex, who played in the ensemble today here at Newport, played clarinet because there was already a percussionist. But we were both at that time, this was probably around 1966 or 67, getting interested in playing music. And we wanted to play rock and roll. But the student orchestra wasn't a rock and roll band, but it was still music. So, and I just trumpet. No, it didn't work out so well. Very difficult, as everyone knows. In the late 60s, when I started getting interested in playing music, it was all about rock and roll. It was psychedelic rock, blues rock, what became known as prog rock, and I had no training at all. I tried to have guitar lessons, but they didn't last. I had very bad luck with guitar teachers in Los Angeles, where I'm from. They always seemed to move away after inflicting tons of psychic damage on me, but only after a few months. So basically, until I was in high school, I mostly played the guitar with just these two fingers. And I didn't know any chords but E, A, and D, I think, or G, cowboy chords. And I just played really fast trills, really distorted, mostly just on the top two strings, like, and then did feedback. So, no, I was not well trained, but I started to learn music in high school because I heard jazz music and progressive rock, where it was obviously going to be incumbent upon me to play well and to play what I was listening to, which was very advanced music and beautiful music. So it was music of John Coltrane, Miles Davis. At this time, Weather Report was just starting, and Herbie Hancock playing electric piano, and these kinds of groups. Tony Williams' Lifetime, Mahavishnu Orchestra, and also a group called Oregon that I was really, really into. Ralph Towner on guitar, playing acoustic guitar. So I had to learn something, and I started basically playing with people who were better than me, and that's how I started to get, on my way. Although I've never been the kind of guy that played what we call jobber gigs. I never had that kind of skill set. I just wanted to play original music. And if you put a chart in front of me and said, okay, like we're at a wedding and now you have to play this, I'd like break into a cold sweat and completely like freak out. It was just too hard. So I was not particularly well trained. I did, from looking at the guitarist Steve Howe from Yes, teach myself to start using all my fingers, because I watched how he played and I said, wow, that's how you could actually learn to hit all the notes with all your fingers. So I copied him and Julian Bream, the classical guitarist, and changed my hand position. And then I ended up with a music teacher. I was a philosophy major. I was told it was too late for me to do music studies, even though I took some music in high school. But I started over after quitting philosophy, and I ended up just going to a community college, and I ended up with the most amazing theory teacher, and that's how I learned the nuts and bolts of music. And this man's name was Rule Beasley, R-U-L-E, and he's the father of John Beasley. And he was an amazing teacher. He changed my life. Santa Monica College. I was going to a fancy private college as a philosophy major, and I went at the last minute, enrolled at this community college where people who couldn't get into college mostly went, because my folks said, you either have to get a job or you have to go back to school if you're not going to do your studies in philosophy. So at the last minute I enrolled there, and I said, I'm just going to start over with theory, because I didn't realize until I had Rule Beasley that I had had terrible instruction in high school, actually. We didn't have a textbook. It was really weird. The teaching was really strange, and I thought it was just me that I couldn't get these things. Between that and this horrible guitar teacher I had for a few months when I was 17, who almost destroyed me psychologically for life, I thought I'll never understand music. And then I had Rule Beasley as a teacher, and the clouds parted and the sun came out. And then I started playing with a man named Eric Von Essen, who played piano and guitar and bass and was a composer, and that's when I really stepped up a few notches. I don't remember if there was pay involved, but I remember the first gig that we did that was in a real venue. It was right at the end of high school. We had a band called Glorendry, which is named after I think a Roger Zelazny science fiction story that the bassist in the band, Lee Kaplan, was obsessed with. And it's an evil spirit that comes out of a sword. I mean, you touch the sword, it inhabits your arm, and then further on, then you have to have your whole body amputated if it, but anyway, terrible name. We used to be called Android Funnel, which I like better, but that band got a gig at the Ice House, which was a tiny club in Pasadena, California, on a Monday night. Primarily known, I think, more as a comedy club, but they had small bands and folk. I don't remember how we even got the gig, but I remember going in there with our equipment. I guess I was 18, and we had a high school friend named Michael Preussner, who later played drums in my first trio, who we were trying to sort of turn into Ayrto and Domo Mamau. So we had amassed all these percussion instruments, and he had a whole table of them. Even though he was a drum set player, we said, please, here, play these shakers, play that. He had gotten some drums in Morocco, and we went in with all this equipment, and I remember the guy doing sound just shaking his head in dismay. And we played for probably like 10 people on a Monday night, and I don't know if we got paid or not, but I never really played paying gigs for about 10 or 15, 20 years. We always put on our own shows and tried to pay ourselves, but didn't always work out. Ready? Nels Cline.